Ja, Eigai.
Molto, many. Many Germans?
Lawson, you lead. Take Ash, Joyner, and Heisman.
We have no idea the size of the force.
Just stick to the treaties. He's wearing our colors. One of ours!
Thanks.
Up here?
We are going to finish this mission.
The suicide mission, you mean?
We are talking the World War II drama Recon, which is also known as simply Peace, actually based on a novel which was again called Peace. This movie is directed by Robert David Port and actually stars Alexander Ludwig, who you may know from TV's The Viking, and genre legends really, Franco Nero. Now, this takes place in the kind of the last days of the World War II kind of time period, 1944, and it takes place in Italy, and it focuses on a group of 4 American soldiers as they are tasked to essentially go up a kind of a mountainside, guided by a local Italian man played by Nero, to see if there is any reported Germans up there. Now, Alexander Ludwig's character is the kind of like the corporal in charge of this small recon mission, and he's really suffering from PTSD as his kind of sergeant recently gunned down a German woman who was the partner of a Nazi, and you know he is haunted, as are his men, by this real murder, and he's kind of debating whether to kind of try and go up the chain in regards to disciplinary action. And it focuses on these 4 men plus Nero's character, who are this kind of squabbling group of soldiers and this one Italian guy as they ascend this mountain to try and find out what is going on in regards to the kind of the Germans. So that's your basic plot premise. Let's talk about the specifics about what I liked. So this is not an action movie. This is a World War II drama. There are a couple of you know, scenes where people are shooting really, but it's not an action film at any kind of sense of the word really. So it's a slow burn film, and a couple of things I did like. I thought the acting was very good. Ludwig, I think, is actually quite a watchable actor. I've seen him in obviously the stuff mentioned, the Vikings TV show, plus he has been in a few movies, most recently could be Bad Boys for Life, and I think he has got quite a you know, a screen presence there, and I thought he did a good job as the kind of the fallible but determined corporal in charge. And I think Nero as well, who's kind of speaking you know, broken English, who is, you know, let's be honest, he's not known for the best acting ever in some of his movies, but nonetheless I think he does, you know, a good job here. And the movie looks gorgeous. The cinematography of this kind of a snowy Italian kind of mountainside looks harrowing. It looks cold. You're feeling the kind of like the anguish that these kind of soldiers are going through. And the movie is really a psychological drama. And the kind of the original title, Peace, I would imagine is these guys trying to find peace within themselves. You know, not necessarily according to peace times, but just peace, being able to reconcile with what they've seen and what they have done in the world, in this, you know, this conflict as well. The movie is punctuated with some more tense moments in regards to, you know, there seems to be a sniper on their tail, there's wolves up this kind of mountain, and obviously there's some fairly harrowing, although it's not explicit, scenes of you know, people ultimately paying the ultimate sacrifice for really just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And again, it holds a mirror up to humanity and say, you know, sort of asks you really, you know, what really kind of makes a human, you know, humane really, and things like this. So it has some deep philosophical messages in here. But if you move on to the kind of negative points here, that's all well and good, and I think the message is portrayed, but as a piece of entertainment, I mean, unless you are kind of wanting to watch something for a philosophical message, then I feel some people may feel this movie is just not a lot happens, because it's a very introspective movie asking its viewers to kind of look within themselves and, you know, maybe put themselves in the place of these kind of like these soldiers and how they would react and stuff like that. But I have to be honest with you, it is a a movie that seems somewhat dragged out in regards to plot elements here. Ultimately, not a lot happens in regards to altercations, things like this within their kind of their mission. And I have to be honest with you, most of the dialogue here is these soldiers bickering, and I have to be honest with you, after a little while it became a little grating. In fact, I would say probably 85% of the dialogue in this movie is just soldiers bickering, complaining, and that's kind of it. And I understand that, obviously they're having a hard time, they want to be there and stuff like that, and that's all well and good, and that's probably very, very true of how soldiers were. Although I have to be honest with you, they did sound like they were speaking in more kind of modern kind of colloquialisms and things like that, but nonetheless, I just wanted these soldiers to shut up. And I hate to say this, but there's a scene where one of them gets injured, shall we say, and I was thinking, oh God, at least they're not going to argue anymore. Because I have to be honest with you, it was quite grating after all. I understand, obviously, you want to have a degree of that, and you need to establish the relationships between the characters, but it is just constant. And it was just, it's kind of like having an upset child with you the whole time for 90 minutes, and it's just, after a while, it gets a little grating, to be honest with you. I have to say, I think there was also some poor editing choices here. There are a couple of instances where I feel maybe the director or editor is trying to be a little bit fancy with things like flashbacks and stuff like that. And again, it doesn't suit the time period I feel that this movie is depicting. It seems quite modern, and it's kind of like, oh, let's do some kind of artistic edits and transitions and stuff like that. And it doesn't really work, if I'm honest. And to be honest, I think this movie fails to capture the time period in a way. Now, I have read a little bit, it is a little bit inaccurate in regards to things like costuming and badges and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, I'm no expert on World War II, so I'm not gonna, that sort of thing doesn't bother me, but it clearly bothers some people. But it does have more of a modern aesthetic to it, right? You could imagine these are going to be more contemporary soldiers rather than kind of, soldiers in 1944. They just don't act like in the period to me. They seem like kind of modern soldiers, the way they're talking, things like this. Dialogue, what they're actually, given to say. So, to be honest with you, I feel this movie has its heart in the right place and wants to try and get across this this message about, introspective and stuff like that. And I think it does succeed in a way of kind of really, holding a mirror up to society, as I've said, and at least how, humans are to one another and things like this. But there's a lot wrong with this movie as well in regards to a piece of entertainment. I feel this obviously it's based on a book. I can imagine this works better as a book rather than a film, because a film is a visual medium, and I don't think there was enough going on really to kind of really warrant the film, if that makes sense. But it's not bad, it's well made, well acted. It just isn't particularly interesting, to be honest with you. Maybe if you just like philosophical war films, then this one's going to be right up your street. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. It kind of ends up being relatively average. Not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think it's going to be one that people will be rushing out to kind of see, or certainly rewatch if they've already seen it the once. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.